don't drink the recommended 8 to 10 glasses, but I do, however, shower longer than the 8 to 10 minutes it is recommended to do so. I mean, look at my hair. On the rare occasion that I want to surprise my liver and drink water, I want to know that that water is clean and available for me to drink.
My name is Alexis, and I am proud to introduce you all to the rest of the team. Krissia, Kat, and Arianna. We believe that water regulation is not an option, it's a necessity. We are the regulators.
The threat of water no longer being tested by the scientific method is upon us. The Clean Water Act, which we'll talk more about later, establishes water regulations to test the toxins of the water that we consume, bathe in, and use in our everyday lives. But this policy is not being fully implemented to the extent that it should be. We are at risk for consuming contaminated water in the future, and we can't let that happen. We are here to educate each other on the potential injustice.
Some of the main points we'll be addressing today are Trump's executive order and the EPA water regulations, what is CSUN doing to help this issue, and the action plans for that community, and we'll be mentioning some benefits of filtered water and our health.
The United States Environmental Protection Agency, also known as the EPA, was created in order to help protect our human health and the environment.
The Washington Post, among other news organizations, states that President Trump has instructed the Environmental Protection Agency, as well as an Army Corps of Engineers, to revamp the United States Water Rule. This rule falls under the 1972 Clean Water Act, which gives the government the authority to govern water bodies, as well as water beds and water streams and rivers that lead into them. Now, if you're thinking, how much water is this actually? It's over 60% of all the water in our country.
Prior to having these policies that made our drinking water safe in the late 70s, there were diseases like cholera and typhoid that existed because of our unsafe drinking water. We could not go back to this.
The current rule gives the federal government wide authority to make sure that the water bodies are protected and used for clean water and critical water supplies. Now that we've talked a little bit about regulating the major water bodies in the country, we'll talk about some misconceptions about where we get a lot of our water, which is the bottled water industry. Here to talk more about that is Kat.
Thank you, Ari. This is true. The long-standing rivalry between bottled water and tap water has come cracking down to simply being a myth. As early as of this Tuesday, ABC News reported that the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power found its water not only meeting but also exceeding all drinking water standards for health, cleanliness, and safety. We've come a long way from thinking that our tap water is anything but safe. To talk about the Safe Drinking Water Act, I'll pass the mic over to Alexis.
Thanks, Kat. The Safe Drinking Water Act requires the EPA to establish and enforce its standards that public drinking systems must follow. However, according to the Environmental Data and Governance Initiative, also known as EDGI, which is a group of scientists and academics who spend their free time tracking changes to about 25,000 federal government websites, when President Donald Trump took office in this January, his administration began changing the language on some of these sites. A big change they reported was a change in the EPA's Office of Science and Technology's mission statement that had the deletion of the word science from it. Before January, the website said that those standards were science-based, meaning they were based on what peer-reviewed science recommended as safe levels of pollutants for drinking, swimming, or fishing. That is no longer the case.
Effective January 21st, President Trump released a gag order stopping all federal scientists from releasing or to create social media posts, blog entries, or official website content, and to consult with senior officials before speaking to the news media.
The EPA Science and Technology has been in charge of developing clean water standards for all the states. Changing the regulation of how each city reaches the standards has changed according to which house is running the Senate. With the transition from Democrats to Republicans, it is usual to look at these regulations. However, they've never been threatened to take place without science as they are threatened today. Kat will now list cities where the regulation of water has also changed.
Thank you, Alexis. In an article entitled Out of Plumb, written by Rebecca Whitner, an environmentalist, she conducts a research within cities that have lead contamination due to the way that they stopped regulating their tap water. In 2001, Washington, D.C. changed how it disinfected tap water, and it led to lead being in their tap water 20 times higher than the federally approved. The communities affected did not know for 3 years. 2005, Columbia, South Carolina. The notice required by law to inform the public that excessive lead had been detected in tap water was printed in a small part of a glossy brochure about all sources of lead. 2006, Durham and Greenville, North Carolina. It took a year to address that science had found lead in the water. Both communities had less than 10,000 people living within them. 2009, Jackson, Mississippi, where it took 6 months to notify the public that it had lead in their water. In 2015, Sebring, Ohio, and Flint, Michigan, who still don't have clean water. Isn't that scary, Alexis?
Yes, Kat, this is scary because we're starting to see the changes that possibly reveal a new purpose for the EPA as they begin to prioritize business interests over our public health. According to an article by New Republic, this may be happening because the EPA's new administrator, Scott Pruitt, has close ties to fossil fuel companies and has repeatedly failed to mention public health as one of the EPA's primary concern. He is supposed to be directly involved with regulating our industry, limiting pollution, and our carbon emissions. He has often stated that CO2 is not a primary contributor to global warming. Yet scientists all over the world have evidence that CO2 generated by our humanity is a main contributor to our climate change, which leads you wondering if he really is the right man to be monitoring our water regulation. Now that we've discussed the EPA's actions, let's look into what our community is doing to make sure our water is safe.
Thank you, Alexis. The Californian Action Plan states that all Californians have a right to safe, clean, affordable, and accessible water adequate for human consumption, cooking, and sanitary purposes. We, the regulators, believe not just Californians, but everyone in the United States and the whole wide world should have access to regulated water. Disadvantaged communities, in particular, often struggle to provide an adequate supply of safe, affordable drinking water. To help these communities, the administration is working with the government to establish a stable, long-term funding source for safe drinking water. As part of these communities, we need to start spreading the awareness of possible regulated water and operate together to fight for our rights, as well as getting our own tools like these tablets and filters to make sure our water is clean. Now to discuss about these tablets, I'll pass the mic to Kat.
Like many of you, we were under the misconception that bottled water was better than tap water. And so to unpurify our water, we threw in some pennies at the bottom to show the rust. And as you can see, towards the lower bottle of water, there's like some contaminants within it. So at 6 o'clock this morning when I woke up to do my makeup, I put in the tablets and our water started off around this color. As I dropped in the tablet, as you can see, it's now clear as day, shown as the filtered versus contaminated in our poster. Now to introduce our tablet, Ari is going to drop one of the tablets within it. And as you can see, it kind of fizzles up. It takes 4 hours in total to purify your water, so it'll have it looking from brown to clear.
So CSUN is leading initiative to make sure that we have clean water here on campus. Our own Sustainability Institute is leading the way to make sure that we have sustainable water on campus. CSUN is also partnered with the LA Department of Water and Power to work together for water conservation. There are also organizations out there like Clean Water Action that are taking initiative to make sure that we have clean water available. They recommend 3 steps that we could do to make sure that we have clean water in our future. First, it's recommended that we get rid of toxins that are harming to our health that we have in our everyday products. Next, we need to make sure that we have policies that make sure we have clean water and clean energy in the future. And third, we need to ensure that the water laws that we have right now stay effective and strong. So now that we've mentioned what CSUN is doing to lead the initiative to make sure we have clean water available, Krissia will talk about the benefits of filtered water.
Thank you, Arianna. Let's learn about the benefits of filtered water then. Filtered water makes you feel better, can help prevent some nasty diseases, and can make you look better without very little effort. Regulated water is good for general uses like drinking water, showering, and also uses like cooking and health purposes, especially removing toxins from the water. Some of the general results of filtered water are: number one, filtered water from the tap is frequently better tasting and better smelling than unfiltered water. This is why some people don't drink as much water because of the taste or the smell. Number two, filters remove chlorine or chlorine byproducts from the water. Both of these chlorines have been shown to be harmful to human health over long periods of time.
Number three, having a water filter on sources like a few taps or using your whole house filters can be a last line of defense against over 2,100 toxins that can get in your water even after it's already filtered by your water provider. Water filters also remove the lead in the water right before you receive it, reducing the risk that it will regain any of the lead before you drink. And lastly, having filtered water that comes directly from the tap is much cheaper over time than buying bottle after bottle after bottle, where you're paying for the plastic as well as the water inside. And like we stated earlier, tap water is safer than bottled water.
In addition, how does regulated water benefit our health? According to water filter expertise, the health benefits of filtered water are many. Not only does filtered water help with digestion and detoxification of the body, but it also keeps the nervous system up and running. Filtered water is also quite important for young children, especially babies that do not have the immune systems as we adults do. Also, it helps with weight control. Without fresh, clean water, the body absorbs more sugars and more carbohydrates than anything else. It causes the body to fail to absorb the vitamins and the nutrients that we need, and it also helps to regulate our metabolism.
Thank you, it definitely does. I love seeing the young children here because, as Krissia stated, it definitely does help their immune system drinking a lot of water. Aside from that, water is good to reduce certain risks and certain cancers, such as rectal, colon, and bladder cancer. On top of that, it promotes cleaner air. See, whole house water filter systems remove chlorine that frequently become vapor in a home and can harm the people there. Filtered water also provides cleaner air for people with allergies and asthma. I personally have bronchitis, allergies, and asthma. And so, filtered water is a good idea for every home, whether it is simply because you want good tasting water or because you want to protect yourself and your family from harm.
Now that we've all learned about the issue with our water, we want to encourage all of you to create awareness of the kind of water we might be drinking simply because of the government decisions. Let's wrap up this message. Regulators should be a must. They can save a life.
This applies to all of us because having clean water is essential to our everyday lives. Straight and simple, this is a basic, fundamental human need. We cannot have dirty, toxic water. It is dangerous to our health and it is detrimental. We need to know what is going into the most important thing that's going into our bodies, and we cannot let ourselves have a future where we're drinking contaminated, toxic water. We need to be educated on this topic as it is dangerous to not. Just imagine, what would the world be like without the knowledge of what's actually going into the water that we are drinking?
So we ask all of you to help us get together and help fight for our rights because we all deserve to have clean water and a healthy environment. Regulation is not an option, it's a necessity, the same way that our water is. Take flowers for example. They're all different, but they require sun, water, nutrients, and clear air to thrive. We think of ourselves and how we require
clean air to see and breathe better,
sunlight to tan,
nutrients to grow strong and healthy,
and water to cleanse us inside and out. Let me reiterate, the EPA is no longer acknowledging science. This is just another attack on Mother Nature, and we must help her fight. At the beginning of his term, President Trump set out a budget for the EPA. It was no different than that of the 2016 budget. However, this is not the problem. As stated by Sarah Fronstein, a nationally recognized and awarded environmental graph reported, the problem is the budget also calls for the elimination of the Department of Agriculture's $498 million water and water waste loan and grant program. It provides critical funding for clean drinking communities such as the Durham and Greenville, North Carolina, that have less than 10,000 people within them. Trump's budget undermines safe drinking water in rural communities, and with the executive order that President Trump has put in place, it requires the EPA and other applicable departments to review the regulations. They rather it ensure and promote economic growth and minimize uncertainty. By reviewing the regulation, the administration can begin to take it apart and weaken it. Water is not a commodity. It is liquid gold and it has no borders. It should be protected. And so, as Warren G would say, regulators,
Mount up! Yeah, thank you, everybody.
We do have a couple of more minutes, so if you guys have any questions, we welcome them, and we actually want you to ask us some questions if you wouldn't mind.
And then we'll also be handing out some of those tablets. Yeah, because we have a few of them. And you can take them when you go hiking or camping. You can just drop it in your water, like we said earlier. And 4 hours after that, you can drink it, and it's completely safe. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Yes.
Where can you get the tablets?
Tablets are available at like Sports Chalet, anywhere that, or like that fishing place where you go hiking and stuff.
There's also straws you can buy that will filter the water as you drink it. There's a lot of equipment out there that can help you take care of your water, since the government is not doing such a great job at it.
Thank you so much for listening, guys.
Thank you guys. Have a great day. Go Earth Day. Woo!